All right, we are being joined by one of the newest members of the UFC roster. And if you ask hardcore MMA fans, this call should have happened a long time ago. And it's always nice when you can bypass the Contender Series and get that call to the UFC. We have Brandon Royval here, who will face Tim Elliott next Saturday night in his UFC debut. Brandon, welcome to the UFC, man. How are you?
Thank you, brother. I'm doing good. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Is it surreal to hear welcome to the UFC? How does that all sound to you?
It sounds great, man. To me, it's surreal. It's like a moment that I somewhat expected, and then like when you find out that you're signed to the UFC, then you're like, holy fuck, really? Like, cause like I don't know, like in my head I'm like, oh, I belong there. I should be in the UFC, and then you get signed to the UFC, and you're like, oh shit, like all right, well I guess that's real then. So I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to it. These interviews are helping though.
There you go. I mean, there's obviously a lot that comes with that call, and you talked about the mental aspect of it, because yeah, it's awesome. You made this next step, but at the same time, you can't rest on your laurels. You still have to prove them right. Would you say that's part of the story for you as well?
Yeah, man. Getting to the UFC is not the goal, of course. You get into the UFC is not the goal. The goal is staying in the UFC and maintaining a lifestyle out of it, man. I want to quit a job. You know what I'm saying? I want to work and then have to be in the UFC still. I want to go make enough money to quit a job, pay off my house, all this stuff, you know?
So for those who don't know, besides fighting, what do you do for a job?
Oh, I'm a youth service specialist, which is like a fancy way of saying I work with like the juvenile delinquents. Yeah, so I work at a juvenile detention center. It's different. It's awesome some days.
Yeah.
Some days I call the bitch by a 17-year-old. I don't know.
Probably trying to test you. Now they're going to test you even more because you're in the UFC until you can quit that job. But right. Tell me how this all happened, man. Like typically, when it comes from your manager, Jason House, there's a FaceTime call involved. Is that what happened here?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So there's a FaceTime call involved. And like as soon as I got a FaceTime, I knew like immediately. I was like, oh shit. And like I answered and I already like was smiling, and then I saw him with a big smile and I was like, you're shitting me, right? And he's like, nah. I was like, well, who is it? And then he's like, you're fighting Tim Elliott. And I'm like, holy shit. So I was excited about the whole thing.
So when did you get the call?
I got it on Monday afternoon, or Monday like at 5 or something probably.
Did you have a hard time having to keep it to yourself? Because I'm sure you wanted to burst out and tell the world that you finally got there. I
mean, I told my parents like as soon as I hung up the call, I like literally called both of them up and just like told them what happened. And I called one of my good friends who's been. I have like 2 friends that show up to every single one of my fights, no matter where it's at, which is sucks because they can't go to this one. But yeah, so I called them up and just let them know.
So you were supposed to compete on the Contender Series. It was that rematch with Jerome Rivera from LFA 39 with that gnarly injury. And as much as I'm sure you wanted some closure on that fight, this is certainly a better option, is it not?
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. This is definitely a better option. A lot more money. So just a great opportunity in itself, just to show I belong, and then to get signed to the UFC in general is just way more important. Because like as far as like going on the Dana White Contender Series, even if I won that fight, I'd have to not only win, but I have to go and press like people and like have to like hope that somebody else didn't just knock someone dirty out right before me or whatever it is, someone else didn't impress the Dana White before me or better than me or whatever it is, So it's a good opportunity, or it's a better opportunity for me doing this, right?
Coming off your last win against Nate Williams, you won the LFA flyweight title. You had the fastest submission in LFA history, and you even had fighters on the UFC roster, including ranked fighters in your division, saying, UFC, you got to sign this guy. And for some reason, months and months went by, and that call didn't come. Contender Series, like you said, it's a great showcase. We've seen what that show has done for other fighters, but were you starting to get frustrated seeing other fighters get the straight call to the UFC?
Yeah, a little bit, man. I saw one fighter, which he's good. So I mean, I wouldn't I mean, I don't want to shit on anybody, but like, yeah, I'm jealous. If you get jealous, like, and especially because I'm working full-time job, like I'm doing all this stuff and then training full-time. Like, I want to live a cool lifestyle. I want to just train full-time, man. I want to train like that be my job, So as far as that goes, like that's where my head's at. Like I'm working hard. I'm doing all this stuff I need to do, not missing any practices, doing all the extra little practices, getting my runs in, getting my strength and conditioning in, and then working a full-time job at that, like on top of that too. So I just want an opportunity to just like make MMA my full-time job, So like I said, I wasn't getting mad at him. I was more jealous than anything. I was just like, damn, I got overlooked or whatever the situation was, you know. But I'm glad they gave me a call.
There you go. Do you feel, I mean, it's hard to say, you haven't even had your debut yet, but do you have sort of a time frame laid out for when you can make that decision and transition into a full-time fighter, or you're going to have to wait till this fight ends and see where it goes from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely probably not going to be after. I mean, it could be, because I'm fighting Tim Elliott, which is an exciting flyweight, man. Fighting Tim Elliott is one of the more exciting flyweights. It gives me an opportunity to go out there and make an extra $50K with performance of the night or fight of the night, you know. So I have it like ups my options for that, you know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna bring it too, and it's gonna allow a little bit more openings for him and a little bit more openings for me. And that being said, it's gonna be a great fight no matter what. So I can't wait for that. So like, if I make extra $50K, I'm quitting that job right off the bat. So I'll play my 2 weeks honorably, but.
Oh, of course, I wouldn't expect anything less. But
out.
Like you said, you know, in terms of excitement, Tim checks off all the boxes, and you know, getting into the UFC is one thing, but you want exciting fights along with that, and it looks like you're getting it here. But in addition to that, you're getting some very interesting pieces for the puzzle that you have to try to put together here. So with that being said, how excited are you for this particular matchup from kind of a stylistic perspective and putting the pieces together?
I was thinking that same thing, because it's a little bit of a puzzle when I have to go solve out there. That being said, I've been watching Tim Elliott for probably like years. Like, I have years and years of watching Tim Elliott and knowing who he is and knowing what he does and all that stuff. So I have years of just like kind of picking him apart. I always knew it was an option to like potentially fight him, or it could be an option. Or just that being said, he's a guy that's doing good in my division. You know, I got to keep an eye out on him. I got to keep my ear to the ground. You know, so. That being said, I think I have more of an advantage than him, because I'm a little bit of a wild card too. I'm a little unpredictable. I would like to say I'm a little bit a little less wild than he is. But that being said, I have a lot of unpredictability to me too, that he doesn't have as much time to prepare for compared to me, who's been watching film work on him for years now.
And you've trained with him before, right?
I mean, he's came to our gym for like a week, so I think I wouldn't say I trained with him before, but I've had opportunity to like train with him a little bit. Yeah. But he's never my training partner though, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure you watched his last fight with Askar Askarov at UFC 246. It was a close fight. It was a lot of fun to watch for sure. If you did watch that fight, what did you make of that performance against a guy that many believe is the future of this division?
I think Askar Askarov's amazing, man. I thought Askar Askarov pretty much put a clinic out there. He did a great job. They had good scrambles back and forth on the ground. But that being said, on the feet, Askar Askarov shut him down, man. I think there's a lot to like kind of pick apart with that, and like I think Askar Askarov like put a lot of stuff I can kind of take away from him on that too, which is awesome. But yeah, it was a good fight, man. It was a great fight. Tim brought it. Tim takes a goddamn hell of a shot, and it's good, man. All potential for us to make $50,000 more, you know.
You're going to be fighting, at least it's trending in that direction, in the same place that the Contender Series fight would have taken place next month anyways. And you may have already been preparing for that sort of empty-ish arena ambiance that would have come with that. And the UFC had those 3 events in Jacksonville last week. We heard many fighters say they heard everything from the opposing corners to the commentators. Are you doing anything different to prepare for that environment at all?
No, not at all. Like you said, I've been already ready for that situation. I think this is actually a perfect way for me to enter the UFC without having like those crazy UFC jitters that they talk about, and like having a big old crowd for me to look around and like, oh shit, you know, get overwhelmed by. I think this is a perfect way for me to enter the UFC. Something I was already preparing for is same exact building, same exact place, a little less of a crowd probably, but that being said, it's still like a little bit of the same. And me and my coaches and I have a whole like language that we speak. We're not saying like throw a kick. We have language that are different like words and terms for this anyway. So it's not anything different. We've been doing this for years, you know. So it's what we've all been preparing for.
First UFC fight coming in 9 days as we have this conversation. It's been a long time coming for you. How do you introduce yourself to these new fans who are going to be seeing you for the first time next weekend?
Oh shit, they're gonna see, man. Like I said, Tim Elliott's an exciting fighter. I'm an exciting fighter too, man. I bring that shit, so I'm sure he's gonna bring it too. I think this is a perfect way for me to get my name out there, man. Tim Elliott's a big name for me. I'm gonna ride his coattails up until this fight and just make a name off of it, man. It's a great opportunity to do this. great opportunity for me to go in the top 15 right off the bat. During this fight. So like I said, it's a great opportunity. Tim Elliott's going to bring it. Tim Elliott leaves himself a lot of openings that maybe I can capitalize on. But that being said, he's going to bring it and I'm going to bring it. So.
I do want to get your take on something, if you don't mind, because you did mention your coaches, and as I'm sure you already know, one of your teammates competed last week in Anthony Smith, and we all know how that fight went. But a lot has been said about your head coach and another one of your teammates, and also one of the rising coaches in the sport, and James Krause, who I assume, by the way, will probably be out of this equation altogether, considering the relationship between you two guys. But I'm sure you've seen all the negative things spewed in your team's direction. Of course, Mark will be in your corner next week. And I've said this before, Brandon, I'm not a coach. I'm not a fighter. I can certainly have my feelings and opinions about things, but I am well aware, as I ask you this question, that I'm coming from an outside perspective. But how do you react to some of the things that have been said about your team?
For me, I mean, people are going to say whatever they want, but they're not the people getting in the ring. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people saying a lot of different things, but that being said, is like, if you pay attention to the first and the second round, that Anthony Smith was like delivering an ass whooping and a half on him. He was listening to everything they were saying, man. Everything they were saying was just delivered perfectly. I thought, if anything, they're going to get praise for at least the first two rounds when Anthony was killing it. They would have got so much praise. If that fight ended then, they would have got so much praise. Like a perfect cornerman work right there. But the fight didn't end up there, and he did get tired, and the fight ended up lasting a little bit longer. And it kind of ended up a little bit the opposite way. But I don't know. I always stand by my coach and my team and all my team. That being said, is I stand by Anthony too, man. They're amazing. I'm surrounded by like all the best coaches. I've had the luxury of having Mark Montoya be one of my coaches. He was my Muay Thai coach originally, but like when I was 16 years old, man, I've been learning from the best since I was a youngin'. So I don't know, man. As far as that goes, man, I thought in the first and second round, as far as like when he was doing everything they were saying, fucking perfect job. It was a great performance as far as Anthony Smith, those first and second rounds. If that fight would have stopped then, I think they would have got praise for that, but it didn't happen, and they got crucified out there, which sucks. But I mean, it's the name of the game, man. It's a fucking rough sport. The fans are brutal, and I don't know. Sometimes that's the way it goes.
Do you feel like you're always carrying the Factory X flag, but with all this going on, do you feel like, it's a little more extra important for you to go out there next Saturday and put on a great performance, not just for yourself, but for Mark and for the rest of the team as well?
Like you said, I always represent my team. When I go out there, that's exactly like the pressure is not how I don't give a fuck. I mean, I guess I care how I perform personally, but like, as far as it goes, I'm representing my team. I'm representing my jiu-jitsu coach. I'm representing my striking coach. I'm representing everybody out there, man. And like, that's how I feel. I feel like that's where the pressure comes from me. And like, that's where the added pressure for me is. Like, I want to go out there and I want to go not only impress myself, I'm going to impress my coach. I want to go rep my team. I want to go rep my training partners, you know what I'm saying? I want to go represent like the hard work and like the investing my family and my sponsors have put into me. Like, it's a lot that goes into it. And like I said, most of it comes a little bit from like, that side is I want to go out there and represent my team. So it's no added pressure because of that fight. It's something that I always have out there. It's always something I kind of put on myself that I want to go out there, represent my team, represent everybody to the fullest.
Did you have a conversation with Krause, or did you just kind of assume that he wasn't going to be a part of this one?
I texted Krause after that fight when they were kind of getting crucified and just told him, because I was going to have him in my corner for the Dana White Contender Series. And I was like, I can't wait to have you in my corner, man. You're amazing. And like, you did a great job. But like I said, him and Tim Elliott are really good friends. I wouldn't want him to be in my corner or his corner. Or that being said, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just happy that I get to pick his brain on as much as I am able to do. So I'm lucky in that sense anyway. So.
To end things on a bit of a brighter note, your brother in battle, Youssef Zalal, had a successful UFC debut back in February in Houston, and he was part of the only decision of the night that wasn't questionable in any way. If you run down the list, there are a lot of questionable decisions. Youssef had the one that wasn't questioned at all. I'm sure he's stoked for you getting this call, but how fired up are you to go bonus hunting with your brother Youssef Zalal and build that brotherly rivalry even more so?
All right. For me, man, like Youssef didn't even get hit out there, man. I don't know. I was so impressed. I was so happy for him and just so happy for everything, man. Like that kid works his ass off, so technical, and he's gonna have such a bright future in the UFC. And I'm just so happy that the whole entire world gets to see that, man. That was amazing. It's an amazing performance by him, brilliant performance by him. like I said, he has a dangerous opponent, striker. Went out there and struck with him the whole entire time and got hit maybe one time. Like, who does that? 15 minutes he put a clinic out there and didn't get hit maybe all but once. Like, great, man. Like I said, it definitely just raises the bar and it shows what I'm doing is I'm on the right path, you know? I'm with the right people and I'm surrounded by the right people. He fought at 45, but I think he'll make his next fight at 35. I have a bunch of teammates in the 35 division that are in the UFC. A bunch of are now 45 division. Like I said, I'm just surrounded by greatness, and like that pushes you to the next level and just shows you that you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path, and I get to brush shoulders with these guys every day and build off them every day, and vice versa. So it's not like, for me, I get to show you guys that I belong, but it's not a question to me. I know I belong in the UFC. I know that I'm that caliber opponent. I know that I can go out there and compete and do well. So I just can't wait to show everybody else this.
And you'll be on the card with some of your teammates as well. Chris Gutierrez will be on the card. Is he the only one, or is there more?
Yeah, he's the only one. He got signed yesterday. Yeah, so.
Crazy day in the sport, and but great news for you, man. I am very happy for you. I've been one of the guys for a while, as you probably know at this point, that has been saying that this call should have come for you a while ago, and I appreciate also your kind words when I made my jump in my career as well. Your words stuck out to me and meant a lot. So, and it means a lot that you jumped on here to talk about everything going on. All the best to you in Vegas, Brandon.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the call, and really excited to see this fight next weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for continuous support, man. All you do for us fighters, man. It's great. Thank you. We couldn't do anything without you guys, you know?
Thanks, man.
All right, have a good day. Started from the bottom, now we way up.